Greetings, beautiful people. It is day 7. Day 7. Every time it pops up on the screen, I'm like, oh, snap. It's not a message. Anyway, it is day 7. And I thought, what a great time to do a bit of reflection. Self-reflection is such a powerful tool that I feel like a lot of us could use more often in our lives, because without self-reflection, you can't really see how far you're going. You may forget to celebrate the wins, no matter how small and big. And, self-reflection often gives you the ability to see and check in with yourself to see what's working, what's not working. And so you can click on the link in my bio, and there's a free self-reflection guide for you to begin that process. But I wanted to self-reflect about what it meant to start this 30-day challenge on this 7th day. And there was 2 fears that I had going into this. And the first fear was I didn't want to be seen. And it's interesting because I do videos, which I enjoy doing for the most part. But this is live, so you're being seen in a very different way. And then the second fear was, what the hell am I going to say for 30 days? And then I was having a conversation with my partner, and my partner was like, don't script it, Fran. And I was like, because that's my default. I'm a writer. I'm not much of a talker. I'm a writer. And so I use written word to express myself. So I was like, man, that's going to be a challenge to not script everything. But I embraced the challenge, and I left the rest to God. But I started to think about, what does it mean to be seen? And I feel like social media is the internet, it's a powerful display of what it means to be seen and not seen, right? I think it shows us what I want to say, social media sort of shows us this social experiment of what it means to have the desire to be seen or have the desire to hide. And it's an interesting dichotomy, because often when we have this desire to be seen, there can be mixed feelings around it, right? Because we often desire to be seen, especially by really important people in our lives. And when that falls short, it could lead us to having a sense of inadequacy. And so that desire to be seen can be distorted, right, in many different ways. Because now we're seeking a way to be seen in ways that might not be the most healthiest for us, right? And then we have the folks who, spend time hiding away from the gifts, the things that they want to say, all of those things. And so it could be an interesting balance. And when I was thinking about, what does it mean to be seen in all of who you are, it can be quite scary, because that means that a lot of the masks will have to fall off, right? If we are wanting to do it in a very authentic way, because sometimes the desire to be seen could lead us down a really complicated path if it's not coming from a very healed and balanced place. And it could trip us up a lot, because when we're on that path to be seen, what we're going to be doing is seeking that validation elsewhere and outside of us, right? Looking for other people to see us in ways that we hope that we saw ourselves. And I realized really the only person that really needs to see you is you. And then everything else follows after that, right? Because once you see yourself, then it doesn't get tainted by the rest of the world. But if you don't see yourself, then you allow yourself to be vulnerable to other people's definitions and projections. And so it's so important to get clear of what it means to be seen to you. And it's also important to get clear if you're somebody that is hiding. Because one thing that my clients usually say is that they're sort of like living in pieces, which means that they are one way here with a certain set of people, and then they show up a different way with another set of people, and they feel like they're living like 5 different lives, and that can be exhausting. And the more that you do that, the more that you sort of separate yourself from who you truly are. And the world doesn't feel so safe when you do that, right? Because now you have to keep up all of these personas. And then what happens is that you start to lack wholeness. And most of the people that I work with, that's what they're looking for. They just want to be whole. They want to be in one piece. They want to feel authentic. But part of being on that journey is accepting all the flaws and imperfections, right? Because when we're trying to be seen, it's also saying, like, can you accept me for all of who I am? And sometimes we want other people to do that for us, and really we have to do it for ourselves first. And I know it sounds cliche, and I'm sure it's something that we've all heard before, but we can't expect other people to see us or give us things that we're not giving ourselves. And that's where the mismatch happens, and that's where the conflict happens. Because now we're putting everything that we have into other people. And we're expecting them to be able to hold that. And most people can barely, hold themselves to that capacity. And so it's a big ask. It's a big ask. So as you are on this path of trying to figure out, like, what does it mean to be seen? And usually it couples down to, like, your value system. What makes me feel safe? What makes me feel authentic? What makes me feel proud? Those sorts of things. And to be mindful to not leave it all in somebody else's hand, someone else's hands, because they might not be as gentle, right? And so when we start to see that mismatch happen, it also can give us feedback. If somebody's mishandling us in ways that we didn't think they would, sort of could be in a reflection of us, right? Like, how are we mishandling ourselves? So it's interesting. So through this journey of just like this 30-day live challenge, I thought, in what ways was I trying to hide, right? I think a lot of us find ways to keep ourselves hidden. And the more that we do that, the more the more we're out of alignment. And when we're out of alignment in ourselves, that's when a lot of the conflict, the internal conflict, begins to swell up inside of us. And so ask yourselves, in what pockets of your life are you trying to hide, and why, right? And how is that keeping you from discovering more of who you are? And how is that keeping you from actually living out your dreams or the things that you wanted to do? Like, I have this cousin of mine. I know she won't be watching this. And she's a very talented chef. But she's still hiding. She's hiding that talent, even though it brings her so much joy, because of the fact that she's afraid to be seen. And so this is like a universal thing. Like, we're all sort of working this out and figuring it out individually. So it's not something that's an isolated thing. But I'm like, this is the time. If it's coming up for you, this is the time for you to experiment with that and to lean in a little bit, right? Because one thing you don't want to feel is like, damn, I had the chance and I didn't do it. So whatever it is that you're wanting to do, create, or be, continue to march forward through that. And I trust that the more authentic, the more that you live in your truth, man, I feel like the truth is really the power of the light, right? And so the more that we live in the truth, the more that the darkness just sort of fades away, in a sense, right? I wrote something today about how the darkness has a beautiful way of showing us our strengths, especially as we sort of are working through any any temptations or anything that's pulling at our egos. The darkness is a great way to allow us to see our strengths and also to see how far we've come, right? And so allow some of that stuff to come to the surface, because the more that we hide it, it's going to come out anyway, just in a very distorted way. But when we allow it to come out, we can actually control which direction it flows. So don't be afraid to be seen. Do it in small increments. I always say, what micro ways can you do the hard stuff? And then start from there. And I trust that the universe will reward you greatly for your courage. And I'll see y'all tomorrow for day 8. Thank you for watching.